Hello crafty friends, it's Erica, ScrapDiva29. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming on with a tutorial. Several of you requested a tutorial on how to create this adorable mini album that I shared the other day on my channel. And it is super simple to put together. I have put these types of albums together in the past, and today I'm going to show you how to create this specific one. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how to create the base of this album, and I'm also going to show you how I created the pockets that are in this album that flip. In this particular album, I only made 3 pockets. You can make your album with as many pockets as you want. It is up to you. But today I'm just going to show you how to do the 3-page pocket mini album. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. All right, I'm going to show you this die set. This is the main feature of this mini album, is this die set right here that I shared. Sorry for the glare. This is a 5-piece nested frame set, and I'm going to be using the largest frame to create the base of my book. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll zoom out just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing some scoring, and I have a sheet of cardstock that is 8.5 by 11. And basically what I've decided on this particular mini is that I wanted my mini album to be about 1.25 inches as far as the width of the spine. If you want a wider width, you're gonna score at a wider width. So if you want a 3-inch spine, which is really big and a chunky mini album, make it 3 inches. But it's up to you. But for this particular one, I decided to go with 1.25 inches. So I have my 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and all I did was score at 1.25 inches, like so. And you will do that twice on another 2 pieces of cardstock, because you need a front and a back piece to your mini album. All right, so I have this folded. I have it scored, and I'm gonna go ahead and press down on the score line. You can use a bone folder if you want. And then what I'm going to do is take the die, and I'm gonna show you really quick. I don't need this scoreboard anymore, so I'm just gonna move it out of the way. But what you're gonna do is you're going to line this die slightly above that score line, and you're going to place it in your die cut machine, and then you're going to run it through your die cut machine, and you're going to do it twice. So you're going to create a front page and a back page to your mini album. And I'm just going to get in a little bit closer so that you can see what I'm talking about. There's an itty bitty space in between the die and the paper, and you want to leave that space in between so that you can create your hinge to your album. If you have your die down here, you're not going to create a hinge. You're just basically going to cut out this particular frame, and it's just going to be one sheet. You're not going to have this little flap. So I'm going to bring my die cut machine over. I'm going to slide it over so you guys can see how I cut it. And today I am using my Spellbinders Platinum die cut machine, and this is a larger die cut machine. I do like using my larger die cut machines just because you have more room to work with your dies as far as positioning it on paper and that kind of thing. And so I'm going to go ahead and get my cardstock ready. I'm just going to trim a little bit off of this cardstock because I don't need the full sheet of the cardstock, and it'll just be easier to work with when you cut it. So I'm just going to trim. I have a little paper trimmer right here. Well, actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm just going to stick it on. It'll be fine. So I'm going to place this on the cutting plate, and I'm going to line it up. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use some of this purple tape. If you don't own any of this purple tape, I highly suggest it. It keeps your dies in place when you die cut, and it doesn't tear your paper when you remove the tape. If you're using, a lot of times if you use washi tape, just the decorative washi tape, it'll tear your paper, and you don't want that. So definitely use this type of tape when you're doing your die cutting. It definitely helps. So I'm just lining my die up as I showed you closely, and I am going to tape it down into place right here. that looks centered and it looks good to me. And I'm just gonna take my cutting plate and I am going to run my die through the die cut machine. And typically it should take only one pass. So here I peel off the tape, voila, doesn't tear the paper. And now I have the frame to my album. So this could be the front, and then now I'm gonna create the hinge for the back. So I'm gonna take my other piece of cardstock right here. I'm just gonna slide this back through and place this one down and do the same exact thing. Position the die slightly above the hinge and run it through. That looks good. Put my cutting plate on and run it through the die cut machine. All right, so I have that done, and that's all the die cutting I'm going to do for this demo for today. So I'm going to go ahead and move the die cut machine out of the way. But here is my second hinge, as you can see. So now I have a front and a back hinge. So I have these two. So let me move my machine out of the way. Slide it over here. And now I'm going to slide this down and I'm going to move along. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna just zoom in a little bit closer so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, so I have the front and back of my mini album, and all I'm gonna do is adhere one flap inside of the flap on the second piece right there. And I don't need that tape anymore. So I'm just gonna tape these two together, or not tape them together, but glue them together or adhere them together to create the base of the book. And today I'm just gonna use my ATG, but I highly recommend using Fabri-Tac glue. You're gonna use a wet glue, or use score tape. The Swootang score tape is a really good one that I really prefer to use making mini albums. I just feel like it adheres, has a really strong adhesive. And you don't, when you make a mini album, you want it to stay together. You don't want it to fall apart. So I definitely recommend using a high quality adhesive. All right, so now I have my base to the mini album. As you can see, it's already taking shape. So there is the base. Now what you're gonna wanna do is create the hinge for your pages, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do that. I am gonna bring my scoreboard back over. So you're gonna need a scoreboard for your hinge, and this will hold the pages in your mini album. So what you're gonna need is a sheet of cardstock measuring 7 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is what the measurements that I used to create this mini album that I showed the other day. All right, so on the 7 1/4 side, you're gonna slide that in your scoreboard, and you're gonna make your first score mark at 3 1/4. The second score mark is gonna be at 2 1/4. The next one is 3 3/4, then 3 1/8, 3 5/8. Then you're gonna score at 4 1/8, 4 1/2, 5 inches, and then 5 1/2 inches. And that is all you need to create the hinge. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold on all of your score lines. Again, use your bone folder. If you have a bone folder, then you can make a really good crease on your score lines. I forgot to bring mine down, so I'm just using my fingers, but it will work. And I just go ahead and fold on all the score lines just to go ahead and work the paper. It's a lot easier to do. So now that I've done that, you're gonna take the first two, the first two score lines right here, these two shorter ones. You're gonna fold them together and make a valley like this. So this is gonna be one valley, then you're gonna have a space in between your hinge, and then you're gonna have your next valley. And then that's your second page. Then you have a space, and then you are going to create the third page or the third pocket because we're making pockets in this mini album. So there are my 3 pockets or my 3 hinges so that I can add my pockets to these hinges, okay? And then what you're going to do is on the little valley right here, or the little mountain, you're going to take your ATG or your score tape, and for this demo I'm just doing ATG because it's faster, and I'm just going to fold that over, and that's going to hold my hinge. Then I'm going to skip this space, and I'm going to go to this hinge right here and add some ATG, and I'm going to fold it over on that valley or that little mountain. That's the second one. You're going to skip that space and then go to the next 2, and then add your adhesive on one side, and then carefully fold it over like so. And now you have your 3 hinges ready to go. All right, so you have your 3 hinges, and now you're going to bring your album back over. So I'm going to just move my scoreboard out of the way and bring this back over. And so this is the hinge, and you're going to want to position your or not the hinge, this is the base of the album, and you're going to want to position your hinge, and you want to center it in between this score line and this score line of the hinge, if that makes sense, okay? And I'll go ahead and zoom in just a tad so you guys can see. And what I'm going to do, again, I highly recommend using some heavy duty adhesive, the Swoo-Tang or the Red Line, some really strong adhesive. You can even use wet glue, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be using my ATG. So I'm just going to add adhesive to all of the back side of this hinge, like so. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just making sure to line up my hinge, the 3 hinges in this little center right here, because you want that centered. And I hope that you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm just going to position this. I have to look kind of closely, and I'm just going to center it. That looks good to me. And I'm going to press down. And then you just want to go in between the hinges and firmly press down. Again, you can use your bone folder and make sure you have it adhered very nicely. It looks like I'm a little off on the bottom, but that's okay. For the demo, it'll be fine. All right, so now I have the hinges, and now what we want to do is create the pockets for the hinges, okay? So we can have a pockets for our mini album. And I do want to mention, okay, so this has that score line right there. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to carefully fold that over and create that score line for your book so that it opens and closes on that score line. And again, you can use your bone folder and push it down. And again, right here, you want to fold this down and make sure you get a good score right there, okay? So that's going to allow you to open and close your mini album like so, okay? If that makes sense. So now we're gonna create the pockets. All right, so for the base pocket, I'm gonna bring my scoreboard back over. For the base of this pocket, you're gonna need a piece of sheet cardstock that measures 6 by 6.5 by 4.5. I shouldn't have put that little X there. So it's 6.5 by 4 1/8, and we're gonna score at a 1/2 inch and 6 inch. And you're gonna score on the 6.5 inch side. This is 6 inches, and we're gonna score at 1/2, and then score at 6, just like that. And then you're going to fold over on your score line, and you're gonna have a piece of cardstock that looks like this. And then what you're gonna need is a pocket cover, and this measures 5.5 by 4 1/8. And you're just gonna cut that out. And then what you're gonna do is you're going to take your adhesive, and again, use strong adhesive, but for this demo, ATG. I mean, and you can use ATG if that's what you prefer. And what I like to do is I just like to line it up like this and then make sure that it's even and then fold it over. And then all you have to do is fold it this way and it should line up perfectly. Okay, so now you have a pocket for your mini album. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is bring the mini album back over here. So how I adhere the pockets is, oh my goodness, 1 second, I gotta grab some scissors. Okay, so for the hinges, what I like to do is I like to just miter the corners. So I just cut it at a diagonal and do that on both sides of every hinge. So it's like that. And I'm gonna do it to this side, and then this side, and you can do this before you adhere it in, but it also works if you do it after. So you wanna make sure that you have those lines right there. It'll make it easy to put your pocket in. And this will slide in like so, okay? So there is the pocket, and all I do is I only add adhesive to one side because I want to be able to put my page in, and I want it to have enough room to sink to the bottom. So all you do is just fan that open and make sure it goes down, and then press it like so. And then you're gonna repeat that 2 more times so that you have the 3 pockets for your mini album. And then if you want to decorate the pocket, you can go on and you're gonna need a layer for that pocket, and the measurement is 5 3/8 by 4 inches. And then all you would do is adhere your decorative piece like so to the front of your pocket, the front and the back, because you wanna decorate both sides. Or what you can do before you adhere your pocket, you can get a border punch and create a fun border right there. It could be a scalloped border or something like that. That would be really, really cute. And you could do that before you adhere your pocket, and then you'd have a scalloped edge on your pocket, okay? And then all you need is the next size down for your nesting die. So this was the largest one, so this is the next size down. And that's what I used. Hopefully I'm on frame, oh my goodness. That's what I used for this right here. So that's what you're gonna put inside of your pocket. And of course you can do as many layers as you want. You can do another layer and on and on. So this will fit in your pocket like so. And then you see you have that little tab. So I'll just take this out, but that's how I did mine. That's how I had that little tab peeking out from the pocket. So you're gonna repeat that 2 more times, and then you will be good to go. And then of course you want to decorate your album. So you're gonna go back in and do your layers with the nested dies and create some layers on the front and the back, and however you wish to decorate it, as I did on this one. So you see I used 3 layers. I have the largest one, and the next size down, and the next size down. So I used 3 layers of that nesting die. And then again, on the inside, I layered it with the smaller one. These are the pockets, as I just showed you. Super fun and simple, and you have your little tab. I hope that this tutorial was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Check the description box below for the product information. Have a great day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye for now.